In this video, I'm going to explain the science behind the Feel Great system, why it's working so well for so many people, and how you can get the results you're hoping for on the system. You can get fantastic results without counting calories or extreme exercising. There are modifications you can make to fit your lifestyle and your hormones. But if you've been struggling with cravings, lack of energy, skin tags, or skin issues like psoriasis or eczema, or acne, or gut health issues like IBS or inflammation, or if your cholesterol, your blood pressure, or your blood sugars are on the high side, if you've been struggling with anxiety or depression, or if you're a woman who struggles with PCOS, or a man with erectile dysfunction, if you just can't seem to shake that extra weight off of your midsection, I am here to tell you, you are not alone. Only 7% of Americans are metabolically healthy, which means 93% are not. 40% of Americans are pre-diabetic, and most of them don't even know that they are. You could be struggling with insulin resistance for 10 to 15 years before it even shows up on any lab results from your doctor's office. If there were only a few of us struggling with our metabolic health, that'd be one thing. But when 93% are struggling, that is a systemic problem. We have problems today that we did not have 50 years ago. I'm going to show you what changed and what we can do about it. The foods that we are eating today are being processed, and vital nutrients are being removed. Even our fruits and vegetables have gotten bigger and sweeter. We've taken foods that grow in nature and we've removed the bran, which is the fiber, so we're left with the starchy carbohydrate. Nature intended for the carbohydrate and the fiber to be packaged together. Even sugar itself grew in nature packaged with fiber. Because of this processing and because of the foods we eat most frequently, only 5% of us are getting the daily recommended fiber intake. This may not seem like a big deal, but it is. Fiber is the food for your gut microbiome. Scientists are now referring to the gut as the second brain. When your gut health is not strong, it will impact your mental health. This causes problems with irritable bowel syndrome, inflammation, skin problems, as well as impaired GLP-1. In fact, people who have this impaired GLP-1 signaling in the gut have problems with blood sugar control and increased cardiovascular risk. Fiber-rich foods, specifically soluble fibers, are known to naturally help balance your cholesterol. And considering heart disease is one of the leading causes of death in our country, I'd say that's pretty important. Fiber naturally lowers your triglyceride levels. Triglycerides are a blood fat that you really want to keep low. When you put fiber at the beginning of your meal, it lowers your blood sugar spike, which in turn keeps your insulin spike lower. Fiber helps with your leptin signaling, which is your hunger hormone. Now, in a perfect world, we would all have time to make a plush garden salad with nuts and seeds and a variety of plants before every single meal, so we can maintain this gut diversity and receive all the benefits of fiber. Because that is not always realistic or affordable, the Feel Great system has a solution for this. There was a study done over 11 years ago at a very prestigious university, the University of Sydney, where they found that taking Balance before your meals lowers your glucose levels by 20 to 28%. In our most recent study on Balance, we saw a 34 to 37% drop in blood glucose levels. To get the blood sugar benefits of this fiber, you simply mix it with water, shake it up, and chug it at the start of your meal. The second problem we have in this modern day is we eat far too frequently, which isn't very hard to do when our food isn't very filling. If you imagine that your blood sugar is spiking with that blue line, every single time you have a handful of this or a bite of that, or a few little pretzels or a sip of that drink, you're going on this blood sugar roller coaster, which in turn causes your insulin levels, which are shown in purple, to be elevated all day long. And the elevated insulin levels are what is causing us all of those unfavorable symptoms and eventually leading us to these more serious diseases. When our insulin levels are elevated like this for a long period of time, it causes us to become insulin resistant. Our cells are so used to insulin being there all the time, it's almost like a fish that's in water. It doesn't even know it's in water. Your cells stop responding to insulin. Even though insulin's there knocking, they're trying to get that energy in, but the cells have stopped listening. One of the biggest issues with high insulin levels is that when insulin levels are high, we cannot burn our stored body fat for fuel. So if you have some excess body fat that you'd like to burn through, you have to get your insulin levels down. And one of the best ways to do this is through intermittent fasting. There is an amazing doctor by the name of Dr. Jason Fung who has written many books on intermittent fasting, The Obesity Code, the Diabetes Code, and many others. Dr. Mindy Pelz has also written several books on intermittent fasting specifically for women. These doctors have been able to reverse metabolic issues with intermittent fasting alone. The reality is, even if we know that intermittent fasting is good for us, most of us struggle with actually doing it because societal norms are constantly offering us food all day long. It is normal to be snacking and grazing on food all day. Constant cravings for food caused by elevated insulin levels and the constant chatter about food, that food noise that a lot of us feel all day long is a lot to manage, and we're relying on willpower alone. And that is why Unimate, the second part of this two-part system, is absolutely amazing to help you with this problem. In this most recent study, we looked at people fasting with Unimate or water. And we were able to see that when you fast with Unimate, you increase your body's own production of the GLP-1 hormone by up to 60%. Not only does GLP-1 production turn down the noise of food, making you feel full physically and mentally, it also enhances brain function. It helps you with things like organization and memory. It helps you mentally get out of that loop where you're constantly rewarding yourself with food. Dr. Ben Bikman is a metabolic scientist who wrote the book Why We Get Sick. He did a recent study on Unimate and he looked at the different effects that this had on different tissues in the body. This study showed that sipping Unimate in a fasted state, your fat tissue would become less efficient, which means it would burn through quicker and you would shrink your fat cells at a faster rate. Second thing it showed is that your muscle tissue became more efficient, meaning this is a great pre-workout. The third thing it showed is that it helps your liver tissue. The liver was actually managing oxidative stress at a faster, higher rate, all when you're sipping on this during a fast. Unimate is a plant native to South America. We grow and handpick and purify our yerba mate. This ensures that it is free of all pesticides and impurities. It is going to give you the most concentrated version on the market. There is a phytonutrient in the yerba mate called chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is a natural insulin sensitizer. Being insulin sensitive is the opposite of being insulin resistant. Chlorogenic acid is known to help with blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol balance. Between all of that and the GLP-1 effect, you want to be getting as much of this as you can. Fasting may sound extreme, but it does not have to be. The whole reason that our body stores fat for us is so that we have an energy source when we don't have fuel coming in. And our bodies are meant to switch in between fat burning and sugar burning or food burning mode. In the morning, instead of breaking my fast with breakfast, I start sipping on this. I sip on this hot or cold and I sip on it all morning long. Now you can have a second one before you have your lunch. This will really help curb your cravings for carbs and sugars. It can also help you extend your fast a little bit, or you can choose to have your second Unimate in between lunch and dinner. If you find yourself being snacky between lunch and dinner, that might be the perfect time for you. Then you're gonna have your balance before your heaviest meal of the day. For most people, that's dinner. If you have a menstrual cycle and you want to fast in accordance with your hormones, there are ways to do that. We have calendars that show you exactly how. The cost of the Feel Great system is about $5 a day. And while you're skipping a meal, that should be pretty cost neutral. I find that I actually save more money because I'm not snacking all day. You might be worried that this won't work for you. If you use this properly and consistently, you can actually prove that it works on a blood test. However, if for any reason you are unsatisfied, the company does a 90-day money-back guarantee. Make sure when you order, you're getting a discount and you're getting it directly from the manufacturer's website. I love this science-based company and I truly believe this is going to help so many people.